Buddy, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do a review of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That's right, my first ever review. If you would like to see my full playthrough of the game, it's on the channel. There's going to be a card in the top right corner as well. This video is going to be divided into three different parts. First, we will talk about things that I enjoyed. Next, we're going to talk about things that I disliked, but they weren't game breakers for me. And then third, these are going to be bad mistakes that actually curbed my enjoyability of the game and made the game a little bit less enjoyable for myself. Remember, guys, this is all just my opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's perfectly okay. I invite you guys to leave your comments down below as well and leave your thoughts down below, and so then we can have a back and forth conversation between each other. But without further ado, guys, there will be spoilers as well, so please, if you have not watched it, if you haven't played the game yourself, you haven't watched the game, come back a different time. You can always save it, watch it for later, come back a little bit later. But without further ado, guys, let's get talk about Jedi Survivor. I love that the game allows you to start with the same abilities that you got in Fallen Order. So this includes things like precision dodging, being able to force pull and push objects and people, double jumping, wall running, and of course a lot of other stuff. And BD1 is still useful as ever. He didn't get his memory banks wiped magically so that he can't hack things or something like that, because that would be ridiculous. But I wouldn't be surprised if they would have done that, but they didn't, so that was a big plus. Jedi Survivor also does a brilliant job with the lightsaber combat. Like, let's be real, a lot of people are picking up this game just to feel like a Jedi, so it really needed to feel like you were using a lightsaber and feel that weight behind it, and it did. Now, other than the fact that enemies can survive multiple hits, the game did a great job with this. But that's not even a big issue because there's a new game plus mod that allows you to defeat enemies basically in one hit, sometimes two. The incorporation of 5 lightsaber stances really pushed a unique element into the game for me, especially when the game rewards you so early on with the dual wield at the very start of the game, which was my personal favorite. The single-bladed stance is the most basic, but it's the most balanced as well. You're able to slash, stab, and cleave through enemies at a very satisfying pace. You don't even have to blink twice before Cal can decimate a room with a double-bladed stance, and it allows for better blaster deflection as well. Then, there's the blistering speed and attack ferocity of the dual-wield style that allows the player to play as aggressively as humanly possible and eviscerate their enemies in a timely manner. After this, the speed at which the player is rewarded slows down, but with enough patience you'll be able to bewilder enemies with a combination of using a blaster and lightsaber together.
Hey, mine doesn't do that.
No, not like that.
Go, buddy. Oh my god, yes.
Much better. Finally, there's incredible power and strength behind the crossguard stance. It allows people to cut through foes like butter. This stance is by far the most powerful and makes the game feel like it's on a lower difficulty. This game has absolutely everything. I got lost in this world for countless hours just playing on my own. You can do anything from endlessly dying to Ogdo child to being eaten alive by the Rancor. You can even search for customization if that's your style. Or you can scour the universe finding friends to help out at Pyloon's Saloon. The vast amount of choices and different ways to play the game are a massive bonus in my opinion. Alright, enough of the small talk, let's get to the story. This is where the spoilers will be rampant, so please, if you haven't watched this or finished the game yourself, click off now. I did genuinely like the story that we saw on the screen. I thought it was great to see Cal's development as a Jedi from the last game. I also like that they slowly give us reasons as to why the crew disbanded. Cal felt a lot stronger in this game. He easily defeated the Ninth Sister and many more dangerous foes than he combated in the last one. I also liked the inclusion of the new crew that Cal was attempting to use to change the fate of the galaxy, and the despair he felt when he realized the Empire was still as strong as ever, despite his years of effort. I also kind of enjoyed the addition of Tanalorr. It's a planet that's out of reach of the Empire, and there's possibility of a utopia, but we're gonna have a little bit more on that later. It changed Cal's mindset. He didn't have to fight anymore. If he wanted to, he could take a break, settle down. He wouldn't have to be constantly looking over his shoulder. Alright, now let's talk about the individual characters. Dagan Gera is a character we meet quite early on, and he continues his looming presence throughout most of the game. I feel like the switch away from the Empire as the main antagonist was kind of interesting, but I totally get why people dislike the switch. For me, it was at least somewhat interesting to see a different time frame make its way into a Star Wars game. Though his turn to the dark side was really telegraphed. Dagan Gera, he was this powerful Jedi Master who served during the High Republic era roughly 200 years ago. His fixation on Tanalorr becoming a bastion for the Jedi Order ultimately led to his betrayal of the Jedi and his imprisonment in a Bacta tank before Cal freed him and then he turned to the dark side. Ravis was sort of a kingpin for the Bedlam Raiders. He was basically the leader, and he was working alongside Dagon as, kind of this bounty hunter after Dagon defeated him in combat 200 years prior. We didn't really get too much backstory on him, which I'm a bit disappointed about, but after doing some research for this video, I found out that Ravis actually kept the lightsabers of the Jedi he killed, and that's how these guys got their lightsabers. It's a cool little detail that I would have liked to see in the game, maybe a flashback or something, I don't really know, but could have been incorporated, and I think it would have given Cal even more motivation to take him down. All in all, I like the little amount we got from Ravis's character, and I think he provides a fun spin from Jedi Fallen Order's boss fights of just Inquisitor after Inquisitor. Alright, now that we've talked about the good, let's talk about things that I didn't really like too much. Unfortunately, this installment of the series only comes with a few planets that you can actually explore, though the exploration that you can do on them is incredibly vast. I have no gripes about the planets that we did see, but I just would have liked to see a few more, you know? Of course, this is not a real big deal, and pretty much nothing in this category is. These are just small things that I would have personally changed. This problem, though, is one that carries over from previous games and one that would love to see changed in the next game. The map, at times it works as intended, but many times throughout the game, I find it discombobulating or even confusing, Maybe it's just a skill issue, and I don't really know, but I think Respawn's a little bit too obsessed with making it a hollow map, and they're just going about it the wrong way, in my opinion. Next, there are large skill trees that you can use to improve Cal's fighting ability, force effectiveness, survival instincts, and then lightsaber skills as well. Now, some of the abilities are really, really great, but I found most of them are useless. I'm not talking about, force push and pull. Those ones are obviously really great to level up, and I think you should. But, the lightsaber combat and stuff like that, they don't really improve the gameplay that much. And a lot of them are not an improvement over just hitting square or the X button. If you can parry well, you can pretty easily get through the game without ever upgrading your lightsaber combat. In the Force department, abilities like radial push and wrenching pull are basically completely meaningless. Did nothing to improve my combat in the game. However, that is not to say that all the abilities are awful. There are decent ones like improving your push and pull, which I just mentioned, and even being able to lift and slam enemies later on in the game. Alright, now that that's over with, let's get to the things that are unfortunately like really bad. These are things that genuinely hurt my enjoyment of the game, and some of them are subjective and you may feel differently, and that's totally okay too. The most obvious one, though, is the performance of the game itself. Now, if you're on console like me, there's a decent chance you won't actually run into that many performance issues. I only had a few glitches, but that's still no excuse. I absolutely hate that games are just releasing an unfinished product and then saying they'll fix it later. I'd much rather have everyone be able to play a game at launch and you delay it a few weeks than a ton of people have to wait because this AAA game can't even run the game properly. It's absolutely unacceptable for a AAA studio like EA to put out an unfinished game, but sadly it's happening quite frequently recently. The only other thing that I really disliked about this game was the ending, and again, this is subjective. So I'm gonna spoil the ending soon, so please, if you haven't clicked off, alright, you've been warned. I really enjoyed the twist of Bode betraying us. I thought it was something fairly new, and I didn't really expect it. I know a lot of people did, but personally, I didn't really see it coming, so I thought it was pretty cool. With that being said, his reasons for betraying us are completely non-existent. In this moment here,
You shouldn't have followed us.
Papa, don't!
Stay back, Cutter. This is the only way to keep you safe.
She will be safe. I promise, Bode. But listen to me.
Come on, Bode. Don't do this.
Lay down your weapons.
This planet will be a haven for those hunted by the Empire, including Kata.
why does he attack Cal? Better yet, in this moment, why does he?
All right. And when the Empire comes, will you be able to protect my little girl? I'm sorry, Cutter. I tried.
Bode. Oh my god.
He's beat. Cal is giving him the chance to surrender, but better yet, he has a safe haven, and he has this possible utopia with Kata. If the Empire finds him and Kata, he's in way more trouble if he's alone compared to if he has some help on the planet. It makes no sense. It's absolutely crazy for him to attack Cal right here. The player has to suspend incredible disbelief. Like, it's insane. The player just has to say, oh, Bode's just stupid. Like, that's the only explanation. It's the only reason he would do something like that. Him saying this,
Will you be able to protect my little girl?
It's like, it makes no sense. You realize if the Empire comes for you, you're more screwed without Cal. It makes absolutely no sense. All in all, despite my slight gripes with the game, I found it an incredibly satisfying and fun experience. On the imaginary funometer, it gets like a 90 at bare minimum, I thought the combat was great, and for the most part, the story was also really, really enjoyable. Also, I forgot to mention this, but even the graphics, this game looks like a movie most of the time. It's so gorgeous. But here we go. This is the moment you guys have all been waiting for. My final score for Jedi Survivor. It's actually going to be an 85 out of 100, man. Unfortunately, I do have to take points off for its performance, even though I didn't really experience them. Maybe I should even take more off, but it didn't affect me too much. But of course, I recognize that most people, it will be a problem. So, a lot of people are having a way worse experience than me. I thought the story was excellent, the combat was fun, and all in all, it's a great second edition that feels very much like Star Wars. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Those are my thoughts on Jedi Survivor there. Make sure you guys let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll be sure to respond to everyone as well. Without further ado, guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.